You have no idea what you're up against. You can't intervene. I will get the V1. And when I do, I'm gonna fillet you alive. You, Starlight, all the non-believers. You're all gonna fucking drown in your own blood.
What is going on, all you ghosts and ghouls? You are tuned back into the Halloween Horror Pod. Got a bit of a curveball for you today, but I'm really looking forward to it. It is superhero season. Right now, and for some reason on Wednesdays, it's Superhero Day, we're getting new episodes of Invincible, Daredevil, I'm sure some more I'm forgetting, and it's the final season of The Boys. And we have a rotating band of hosts and characters on this show with their own areas of expertise. And there's a lot of things in the world that scare me and in the world of horror that I'm just not equipped to talk about. But I am the kind of nerd that could talk all day about super people and super societies. And so today, to celebrate the ending of The Boys, the current television run of Invincible, and just because I want to talk superheroes and horror, we're going to be discussing the horrors of a super society. And with me today, I've got one man that I know is way overqualified for me to be hosting an episode about comic books. I've got Josef Wilke with me today. He's an author. I don't know if you're a philanthropist. What would you call yourself?
Yeah, philanthropist is kind of a bit of a stretch.
I
I
figured.
think I maybe donated
took
to the
a
Boys
shot
and
there.
Girls Club once or twice.
How are you doing today? And what, in your mind, when I brought this topic up, what do you think is the scariest world to live in?
Ooh, scariest world to live in? Okay. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
No
And
problem.
then I've been on a real kick. I've been playing this video game series called Fear and Hunger, and I would not ever want to visit there ever.
Man.
Will, same for you. We got Will here with us. He's our resident video game guy. We're currently doing our Resident Evil series, which you can check out on our main feed here. Will, how are you doing? And one come to your mind, the most terrifying fictional universe to live in?
It's a long list, but you know what? If I had to pick, I'd probably have to agree with you on Fear and Hunger because I got into that game very recently, and for those who don't know, Fear and Hunger is an indie RPG maker game that came out several years ago and didn't really start getting traction until somewhat recently, I'd say about a year or two ago. And pretty much everything about that world is pain. Everybody that's tried to run the show or make an improvement has just made things worse because basically human pretension is the front runner there. And it always seems to go poorly. No matter what you do, everything just seems to get worse. And just by playing through that game multiple times and seeing the kinds of things that can happen to the people that live there, I definitely have to agree. Fear and Hunger would be a horrible world to live in. But the first one that came to my mind was also the Image Comics world of Spawn.
Oh, well,
where
yeah.
It just seems...
Oh, yeah.
It just seems like everything you try to do there right just doesn't go well. And I think that living in a world like Spawn or, maybe The Boys is a much more tangible fear because the fear is real. Like, these are things that could actually happen to you in the real world. And that seems like the most tangible kind of terror and the most impactful.
And I think it's appropriate that I have no idea this Fear and Hunger thing you guys are talking about. And that's kind of appropriate for this episode because we all have our own kind of niche knowledges here. And for Will, I know you've seen every episode of Invincible, but you are yourself not very familiar with The Boys. And, I wanted to say that the kind of two pillars of this episode are going to be Homelander and Omni-Man as kind of like the big bads in the room in a society you don't want to live in. And Will, like I said, you're not too familiar with The Boys, but you know Invincible. And Joseph, I know you have some real opinions on The Boys, and we're going to get to that. But you've read it all, you've seen it. But what is your experience with Invincible?
I am a bandwagon fan when it comes to Invincible. I loved the first season of the show when it premiered. I had never heard of it before then, and immediately just dove through the comics as soon as I could get my hands on them.
Excellent. And I myself, I've seen every episode of The Boys, every episode of Gen V, every episode of Diabolical, the animated spinoff, but I've never read a word of the comics. But with Invincible, yeah, I'd heard of it. I'd heard it was really good. I never got around to it. I was hesitant to watch the first episode because the animation seemed a little unappealing, but after I did, I was hooked. And I, too, tore through the comics as fast as I could. And just about a month ago, I finished with Compendium 3 and have read all of Invincible. I should let people know that as far as spoilers, we're just going to be talking about what's on TV. Essentially, our focus is going to be on The Boys' television run coming to an end and Invincible's current run, also because where Invincible is right now in the TV show is something I've wanted people to see for quite some time now. But I'm not going to spoil exactly what happened, but man, I want to, and I hope that if you haven't, that our hype gets you to, if that makes sense. But I think without further delay, we should just dive into it. Let's start with Invincible. That was created in 2003 by Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead fame and Cory Walker, also illustrated by Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley. The TV show, which is amazing, has run since 2021 and is produced by Robert Kirkman. I think they have a rotating cast of showrunners. I don't know too much about that production. Regardless, are we all caught up on the show, guys?
I've seen the current episode that premiered just last week, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. If you haven't seen the episode already, go and watch it right now.
At the time of recording, because this is going to come out a few weeks later, the season 4, which is at this time will have already finished when this episode comes out. So the episode we just saw that blew our minds is season 4, episode 7, and I wish we could tell you what happened, but you got to get there. So in a society like this, where there are people actually trying to be heroes, I think that it's still kind of the opposite of The Boys, where everyone's sort of a villain. I feel like it's sort of the Joker issue. It's because the heroes exist that the villains persist, and I wanted to know if you guys had any thoughts on that.
I was first introduced to Invincible when I saw it in little snippets online, and honestly, I was pretty dismissive of it because I saw, oh, look, it's a middle-aged Superman with a mustache, an admittedly nice one. And we're seeing totally not Wonder Woman, obviously not Martian Manhunter, and definitely not Aquaman walking around, and they're all getting their faces bashed in. But the scene at the end of the first episode of Invincible it had this strange resonance to it because it came off like a cliche superhero, supervillain battle. But as the fight went on, it started to seem less like it was just a superhero battle and more like a foreshadowing of things to come. Because the most impactful moment I feel in the entire scene was when Omni-Man grabbed Red Rush, the parody, I thought, of The Flash.
Now, this isn't necessarily a spoiler. This is his fight with the Guardians in the pilot episode of Invincible, which is the end, or kind of the middle of the first arc of the comic, is I'm assuming what you're referring to, when we find out that Omni-Man is the bad guy.
We find out
the bad guy.
We don't really find out much of anything. All we find out is he's betrayed everyone, and the first place your mind is going to go if you're a longtime comic book fan of, like, the DC universe, for instance. You're going to think, okay, mind control, evil clone, robot. No. We find out later that this is him. He did it deliberately and intentionally.
We can go on and on about what happens from there. Essentially, that's where we find out that Omni-Man is not a friend of our planet. He is the bad guy, and it only builds from there, and it culminates in that incredible fight with Mark that we all remember. But there are other things about the world of Invincible that, to me, make it terrifying, and one of them is one that nobody ever thinks of, and I wonder if you agree with me, Joseph. It's that mole guy who can just pop up out of the ground with lava gods and destroy the world. Mole people, to me, are one of the scariest things that could exist in a fictional world, and I don't know if that makes me crazy.
It doesn't. It's a very rational fear. It could happen at any point, any second, even in the middle of recording this podcast. I love that. I love that character because he, if I remember correctly, he starts off thinking like he's not really that big of a threat, and then pretty much solos
he's pretty
the
much a
entire
joke,
Superman
and he
team.
remains a joke until it's not a joke, and I like that.
Until it's not a joke. Yeah. Here's the thing that I do not understand about any comic book ever. It does not matter what company, does not matter anything. Why would I, a normal person without superhero or superpowers, want to live in a densely populated city whatsoever?
Thank you. I was hoping someone would make that point. I was going to come around to it because we're going to get into some Batman stuff, but let's just hit that now. Is when you're in these worlds where there's constant acts of mass terror happening, why would you go live in Gotham? Why would you go live
and you use that as a negotiation point and be like, I don't know, $1,400 for this apartment?
Oh, that's
Chances are
probably
it can
it.
get crumbled or smashed. I'm thinking maybe 800 a month for this apartment. What do you think?
Joseph, I think you solved it. I think that's why cities are so populated, is because that's another fiction of that universe, is it becomes affordable to live in Central Park because that has the highest chance of a cinematic battle happening between a villain and a hero.
I couldn't imagine paying what we're paying now, and then also the threat of like total annihilation just hanging over us.
Meanwhile, by the same token, I feel like that situations like that where there are tangible threats would drive insurance premiums up, forcing them to keep rent around what it is now. And on the other hand,
Oh my god.
Wow, landlords
hand,
are the
you've
true
also got the-
supervillains.
you've got the dense population, meaning that they can keep the profit margins down while still making bank. So it'd just be a question of where, who, and what, and how many times that apartment complex has been leveled by Omni-Man having a bad day.
I guess one thing that would be nice is, construction companies probably make bank working inside of major cities in these worlds. You get those those emergency contracts. Well, I guess there is some appeal for the working man to go live inside Gotham.
Systems like that would definitely be subsidized as having to constantly be repaired, and in situations where we have guys like Scarecrow releasing toxic gases into the atmosphere, regular maintenance would be a thing, and the ventilation systems would have to be high quality to control against like poisonous gas attacks, like Joker's laughing gas or Scarecrow's fear toxin. So there are all kinds of unseen variables in there that, honestly, until now, I never really thought about.
You're assuming though that all that is going to be up to date and actually working when it's probably like any other city where it takes like a couple of years just to fill up one pothole.
And then if you ask to have it filled, they just look at you like you're a jackass for wasting their time. We got enough potholes in this city, buddy. You got a little discount Dracula there for free. Take it home with you.
And then if you go and try and do it yourself, you're the bad guy.
Exactly.
So I wanted to bring up, I'm just excited to talk about superheroes and super worlds today. The thing I wanted to bring up to transition us into the world of the boys from Invincible is the society of Viltrumites. Now, not the human society, but think the planet of Viltrum, which, very mild spoiler, I guess, in their history, they culled themselves of the weak. And they essentially had a purge and to decide who was strong, who was weak, and slaughtered most of their own planet. Now, that would be a terrifying planet to live in general, but it also transitions me into the world of the boys. Joseph, have you watched Gen V at all?
I have not. It's on my watch list, but I have yet to actually sit through it.
So when we talk about the callousness of the world of the boys, Gen V is like college supers in that world. It's really good stuff, but you really start to see the indoctrination of that callousness, and it reminded me so much of where things are going in that world, where things went on the world of Viltrum, and it looks like we're kind of heading to that same boat in the boys. But before we get to that, let's just talk about that show. And also, Joseph, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. I wanted to introduce you today. I forgot. You're our boys expert today. You know all about the boys, those 7-year-old boys who have been on the, because they've been on since, for 7 years now. Can you tell us, I couldn't resist, could you tell us about your history with the series? I understand that you've actually read it and you have a strong opinion between the two.
I had a huge Garth Ennis kick when I was growing up, reading everything I could get my hands on. So this is like the one property where I'm not a bandwagon fan. I got to read the comics as they were coming out, when it got canceled, and then when it came back. I've gone through the entire series, both as like a teenager thinking this is the coolest thing I've ever read, and as a grown adult. And oh my God, this show is like a million times better than the books. It's not even close.
I want to know why you say that. I've been dying to ask you, but I wanted to save it for the podcast.
It's the ending of the boys comics is pretty notorious for just being like,
definitely don't tell me. Definitely don't tell me what that is.
All right, yeah. I want you to just think of a magician. He's about to pull off a really cool trick, and then instead of pulling off that trick, he just has a giant wet fart on stage and runs off.
And
that to me is what the ending of the comics feels like. And no, the show is not even going to go anywhere near how the comics ends.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you feel confident with how well the show's going and the direction they're going, that you don't feel like they're going to pull the rug out from under us in that way and become remembered as a wet fart, as you were implying?
Not even close. The main reason why is just pure characterization. The characters in the boys, all of them have been Like the groundwork is laid out there from the comics, and then they just build on top of what made those characters good.
I love when that happens.
And yeah, like A Train is like the best example of the characterization differences in that. He's a little flat in the comic books, and then they take what's there from the comics and really expand on it to give him a backstory that makes us not only feel bad for him, but root for him as time goes on.
A-Train is such a good character, and I think he's a really important part, besides the Homelander of it all, of really getting you hooked into the show and caring about the Supes in that first season. So I couldn't agree with you more. Again, I've never read The Boys, but I would absolutely believe it. And I wanted to ask you about Homelander, because when The Boys came out, which, and I forgot to introduce it, The Boys comic started 2006, co-created by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, with Robertson doing the illustrations. The TV show came out in 2019. Now, the world was a very different place in 2006 versus 2019, and without getting too political, as much as I want to, Homelander and the people who support Homelander, I think, are very obviously criticizing the current state of affairs, if you'd agree. So there has to be a difference in the Homelander that's in the comic and the Homelander we know and hate to love today.
And we're trying not to be too political on what I want to say on that. Okay.
Go for it.
No, I'm just going to lean into it. We're going full politics
Do
here.
it.
America is evil and always will be evil, and there will always be a great way to satirize how evil America really is. I mean, obviously, like in the show, he is a huge, like the whole thing is just one giant metaphor for Trump and everything he's doing wrong in this
Thanks
country.
for saying
You can't
it.
deny that. Somebody has to, right? But to me, it was more like the stand-in of how Garth Ennis really felt about America's, not just America either, like the entire Western front of industrial war powers, and what that war is like a way to keep going on. You really get a sense of that too in Garth Ennis's Punisher run. Like Homelander as a character.
Yeah. So I just want to know more about, like, what is Homelander like in 2006? And I mean, we could talk about Garth Ennis's position on politics, but I want to talk about the character of Homelander, because with the technology is different now, and they're leaning into that with the AI stuff and the sort of gaslighting rhetoric that we get in the real world that they're playing with on the show right now. So what is Homelander like in the comics back in the day?
Not as good.
Yes.
So the best example is the airplane scene, right? And this is when it clicked for me as to this is such a better adaptation than it is in the books. When we have Homelander and he's realizing that airplane's going to crash, right?
Right.
In the show, we see him panic. He's starting to like threaten everybody in there.
Laser every one of you motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly, right? Whereas in the comic book, I can't quote what he says in there because it's just the N-word over and over again.
Really?
Yes. And it's not like
I did not see that coming. Even for Homelander, he wouldn't do that in the
Garth
show.
Ennis. This is peak Garth Ennis, right? I mean, there's like it's a panel that goes around the internet quite a bit. I think I have the issue around here somewhere. But like somebody's just telling him like, all right, I think the plane's going to crash. And his response to that is like the way that you and I would say, oh, damn it. He just uses the hard R N-word.
Wow, I'm looking at it now. That's crazy. Well,
I didn't mean to bring the mood down with that.
No, I see it. Yeah, I know. That's crazy. Played in the show by Anthony Starr, who I hear is a real dick in real life, but man, you can't deny how good he is as that character on that show. Hey everybody, this is George, of course. Sorry to interrupt the show, and I don't normally do this, but I also don't always get to record an episode about The Boys during the end of its historic run. So Joseph was nice enough to take some time with me. This is days after we recorded the episode you were currently listening to, but he's been nice enough to offer his time and give me this chance to put in this little segment. And now, Joseph, I want to give you a chance to giggle at the phrase putting in this little segment.
Putting in this little segment to The Boys.
Oh my goodness.
And as we all know, that's why you brought me on here, is because I love putting things into The Boys.
Yep, you're the expert on The Boys, the now 7-year-old boys. I wanted to ask you, while I had the opportunity, now I know we're primarily a horror podcast, I'm a big fan of this property, especially the televised version. But I don't talking about The Boys, and I don't know the comic book that well. And in our main show, I ask you about the differences between a 2006 Homelander and a 2019 Homelander that we've come to love and hate together. I was watching last week's episode. This is the final season. Episode 4 was the last one that aired at the time of this recording. And I just kind of wanted to ask about a couple of the other characters. So if you wouldn't mind indulging me, we're going to start off pretty easy, get to something a little more serious, if that sounds good to you.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. So tell me about Butcher. I want to know, like, Butcher's intention versus the Homelander we get. Is that pretty... how do I want to say it? Is that pretty much like what we see in the TV show, or is Butcher essentially a different guy? Or in general, can you tell me, are most of these characters like completely different than they are in the comic?
Here's why this is going to be a boring segment. Are you ready?
It's not going to be boring, I promise, but go on.
I know. But the building blocks of who they are in the TV show are there in the comic books, right? It's just that the TV show will build upon what's already there, or not make like major changes to the characters, but kind of take it into a different direction more suitable for television audiences, right?
Sure.
The best way I can describe Butcher.
Yeah, so let's just talk about Butcher. Just go for it.
Butcher is worse in the comics, not as like not worse written, but worse as a person. And he, like, all the warning signs of who he is has been there since issue 1, and especially volume 1 of the comic series, right? He's very reckless, just like in the comics. I'm sorry, he's very reckless, just like in the TV show, in the sense that, like, he'll manipulate Huey and then not tell Huey that he's being manipulated until it's far too late, making Huey think like, hey, buddy, we're on the same side. We want the same things. Best example from the comic is when Huey and Butcher meet for like the very first time, or at least going on their first operation together. Days before, they're chatting. They're like, we're just going to do some surveillance. It's going to be fine. And then he takes a needle and jams it into Huey's neck and goes, oh, by the way, this is Compound V. It's going to give you superpowers. Like, without even telling him. And so it's exactly like what we see with the show of just like manipulating people around him to thinking they're on the exact same side.
Yeah.
It turns out Butcher kind of maybe hid 1 or 2 different things. And there was a great chance that the person he was manipulating could have gotten killed. But it all works out.
So I think that's a really nice transition into, you mentioned that he's more likable in the show, and I'm wondering if that's because of his relationship with Ryan. Is that existent in the comic?
Oh, Ryan's so Ryan is a great addition to the show, because Ryan's existence is 3 panels in the comic, where
Nice.
he is a fetus that bursted out of a tummy and has laser beams coming out of his eyes before he is put out of his horrid misery.
So
Ryan does not get a chance to shine whatsoever in the comics.
So would you agree then that makes Butcher more relatable in the show because of his attachment to Ryan?
Yeah, because it's well, even I question his attachment to Ryan.
Well, I mean, in general, that got us to this point. He's pretty much now the villain, but I don't want to spoil too much.
Too much, yeah. But because it definitely shows that in the television show, there's still a little bit of humanity left in Butcher, no matter how much he's willing to give all of it up, right? Whereas in this one, in the comics, he kind of starts off, you think he's cool, you think he's a bad guy, and he just continuously gets worse and worse the more that you get to know him.
Okay, well, fair enough, and I appreciate you. And again, I can't encourage people to watch this show enough. I don't want to spell everything out for them, but Butcher, great character, a lot of fun to watch, a great opportunity for Carl Urban. I promised that we'd get a little more serious, so on a more serious note, when you, Joseph, assaulted that pregnant hypnotist, what were you thinking?
I'm just saying, this is a stand your ground state, and I felt like my life was in danger.
On a less serious note, let's talk about Nazis. We can't talk about The Boys. Oh my God, without talking about Nazis. So I want to know, is in the show their representation is sort of there and not even coded. I'm talking about the Stormfront days. So I'm wondering if Nazis and the Stormfront of it all is a part of the comics as well. If we're talking about real life horror, nothing scarier in the real world than the Nazis.
Agreed. The Stormfront from the comics is very, very different from the Stormfront from the TV show.
Tell me about it.
The whole point of Stormfront's character in the TV show is to show people how easy it is to manipulate them, or how easy it is to manipulate people with propaganda, right? Have you seen what Stormfront looks like in the comics?
No, I actually haven't yet. Hang on. I'll look
If
it
you
up.
had to, no, before you Google, what would you guess is Stormfront's cup size in the comics? I'm telling you, I set you up for a trick question because the Stormfront in the comics is a man.
Oh, well, jeez. Okay, I
And
see
it's,
that. I see that now. Yeah, okay, that is way different.
It's pretty not subtle whatsoever. In fact, I remember reading the comics and like it was supposed to be this big reveal that Stormfront was a Nazi. And I remember seeing Stormfront's costume when he has
I'm
like this
seeing this-
gigantic golden eagle on his chest.
Yeah, and I'm
like,
seeing the swastika on his back. I'm guessing that's from a later issue.
Oh yeah, and it's like maybe that maybe it was, I don't know. Maybe I was misinterpreting the material, thinking it was supposed to be a twist that he was a huge Nazi, or maybe it was just kind of right there out in the open the entire time.
Well, fair enough. But so the whole history of Vought and Nazism has always been around in the comics. I didn't know if that was something they added for our modern day in which The Boys is set.
It has been a while since I've sat down and read the comics. If I was a professional, I would have reread them for this show.
No, but I mean,
However,
just in general, the fact that I'm looking at the images here that I'm seeing, it seems that it always was a part of it. And if we're talking about the real terror of this world, you give the Nazis superpowers, there you go. Nothing scarier than that.
Exactly.
The other big one I wanted to ask you about is, I don't even know if this is a character in the comic. I have two more to bring up, and I'm not even sure if they're part of it. If I said Firecracker, do you even know who I'm talking about?
Well, Firecracker's in the show for sure.
Oh, I know she's in the show, but I know she plays the role of like the media influencer of our time. I didn't know if there was a similar character in the comics that kind of filled her role.
So no, there's no Firecracker in the comics. There's no modern day, because this was written way before influencers, right?
Oh yeah, no, this was written like right when people were telling each other that they should check out this Facebook thing.
Exactly. And so that was a different time of media. I will say that there is a great character that's in the books. I am blanking on the name completely, and I'm trying to remember.
Well, what is their function? What do they do? I'm sure fans of the comic will know. So who are you talking about?
I'm talking about there's a very short bald man in The Boys, and his job is to make comics based off of the in-universe real-life superheroes of the Seven, right? So The Boys came out before there was a cinematic universe of any kind. And so the way that they would make money and merchandise and everything is through comic books. But that whole point of that character is to say that comic books are a form of propaganda and a way to let you fall in love with your country. A huge like satirization of the time when during World War II, Captain America was being pumped out as a way to help support the war effort, right?
Right.
My initial rambling point is that while Firecracker is not in the comics, the spirit of Firecracker is, because the whole thing about that is superheroes being propaganda or used for propaganda purposes.
Which has been a big theme since the first season. And again, dear listener, I've watched everything that's on video form. I mean, the main show, Gen V, which just got canceled, by the way, big news breaking as of last night. I've seen Diabolical. So I know all about that world, and I know that a big part of it is that it all exists for the PR of it all. And that's kind of like the heart of the callousness and the horror of this world, is because if you fuck with their optics, they'll skin you alive.
Oh yeah, they won't just kill you.
No, they'll make sure that everyone who knows you and could remember you knows not to fuck with Vought, and that's what makes them truly terrifying.
Spoilers for my favorite thrillers comic series of all time, called Monster. Just from what you just said there,
go for it.
It's light spoilers, but I highly, highly recommend it.
Which you also talked about in our horror comic books episode. We got to do a callback, so make sure you go check that out. But
oh no, yeah, Monsters. That's kind of series where like you have to go into it completely blind. Like just don't know anything about it and let it take you for a ride.
Okay, well I'll leave it at that then. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So I think the last thing I want to touch up on here, and this is just more a fanboy thing, and just I was thinking about the horror of Homelander, and this was a big revelation that hadn't come up in the episode that aired before we did our recording proper. And I don't think this is too much of a spoiler. I think anyone who knows the character of Homelander can see this coming, is he's finally fully signed on his God complex. And it seems like that sort of confidence has finally pushed him over the edge to be like, okay with conquering the Earth. So do you think that he needed that God complex, or do you think it was just a matter of time for Homelander to just say, I can just own all of this?
It was only a matter of time. I think both
I
in
think so.
show and comics. I remember one of my favorite shots from that show was Homelander jerking off in a building, going, "I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can do whatever the fuck I want."
I can
I
shoot a
had to
man in
analyze
Times
that
Square.
scene so
I mean,
much. Exactly. What?
what?
But yeah, I analyzed that scene over and over again, just playing it on my big screen TV, turning up the brightness, rewinding, playing it backward when it was Anthony Starr on screen jacking off, for the sake of television analysis, you know.
All right, and one final thing I should mention. I'm kind of forgetting the main character of the entire series. I haven't even asked you about Huey. That's how little I guess I care about him. And I should care more about him. So why don't you go ahead and tell me about Huey? And does he even have a relationship with Starlight? Was that manufactured for the show? What's going on with him?
The relationship with Starlight is definitely in the comics. Huey in the comics and Huey from the show, though, are, I don't want to say entirely different people, but I mean, they literally are entirely different people. Jack Quaid, star-making performance in this show, right?
I think, yeah, I mean, even though he's a Nepo baby, I think he really made his bones with this, and he's been doing great work ever since debuting in The Boys. I mean, Companion rules. I didn't care for Novocaine, but I think that was more the problem with the script than his performance. I think he's a natural-born talent, and he kills it as Superman in My Adventures as Superman, so I am a Jack Quaid fan, Nepo or not.
He is fantastic. If you look up Huey from the comics, does not look anything quite like a young Hollywood talent. Well, not young and definitely not Hollywood, because Huey from the comics.
Oh wow! I just looked him up. He looks
based off of.
He looks like what's the guy from Mission Impossible?
He doesn't.
Shaun of the Dead. He looks just like him.
He doesn't look just like him. He is him. Simon Pegg had his the team behind The Boys, Garth Ennis and the artist and the publisher and everything, reached out to Simon Pegg.
Oh wow! That's why
he got their permission to use his likeness for this thing.
Wow. Okay.
And then, in a brilliant twist of, it's like a little callback to the comic book fans, Huey's father in the Boys TV show, played by none other than Simon Pegg.
Oh, that's a great point. I forgot about that entire thing. You're right. That is excellent. See, this is why you tune into this show, dear listener. Without this information, neither of us would have known that. Joseph, your time has been indispensable, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you've given us today. So without, throwing to my normal credits, I'll just let us get back to the normal episode with me, Will, and Joseph. Thanks for tuning in to the Halloween Horror Pod. Will, do you have any experience with this property at all?
With The Boys, not really. I've seen snippets online, and I decided it's hard for me to get into a series where it's clear that the main goal is to make every single mainline character as much of an obnoxious, crappy, unlikable human being as possible.
I wouldn't make it that black and white. I
see the appeal, and I see the message there. They're trying to comment on things like society, war, politics, but I get enough of that in the real world from the news, so I decide that when it comes to fictional universes, I try and avoid things like that, or it just doesn't hold my interest long enough. However, I have seen enough about the character Homelander in particular, I feel, and that's what I base my disinterest in The Boys on. He's basically started off orphaned and raised to be like the personification of what it is to be America, pro-America, and almost to a cult-like level. I mean, for God's sake, the man wears an American flag as a cape. Now, I also find out that his main issue is he doesn't feel like he's actually loved. He feels like he's got all the fans and all the celebrity, but nobody really cares about the person he is.
That's the best part about the character, though, is that's what stops him from becoming Omni-Man, is his desire to be loved, because he could just probably take off at full speed and wipe out all of every American city with a sonic boom at any moment if he wanted to. But it's his need to be loved. But like the walking nuclear arsenal of it all with these characters is why I wanted to talk about these people this episode. That's what I find terrifying.
And that's exactly the
now
thing
I'm
about
going to
Homelander
derail
is...
this entire convo.
Do it.
Because I'm sorry to interrupt, because here's where I'm going to have to disagree with you on this.
Do
Are
it.
you ready?
Go for it.
Omni-Man is redeemable. Omni-Man has the ability to change and become a better person.
As we
and in
see.
fact, throughout the show and comics, he does.
Yes.
Whereas Homelander does not have that ability. In fact, he only gets worse as time goes on.
When we talk about these characters, you're not wrong, Will. There's a lot of people to hate on The Boys, but it's not the political commentary and it's not the how big of a dick a character is that makes us stick with it, but it's those moments to moments that are just like, wow, that was awesome. So I highly recommend that you check out The Boys at some point.
Oh, think about it now that you said that.
But you
no,
do what's
the
best
main
for your
thing
mental health.
Yes, my mental health is shot already. I accepted that years ago. But the main thing that put me off The Boys was, like I said, this focus seems to be on Homelander and his need to be loved. But on the other hand, I already understand characters like this because, like you said, he's a walking nuke. He could wipe out all of civilization in the time it takes us to take a nap and watch a bad TV show. And because of that, there's always going to be something in the back of his mind telling him that no matter how much this person says they love and respect me, they're always going to be afraid of me, and no one's ever going to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable around me. And that tells me that his own power is what holds him back from feeling like he's genuinely accepted. And that's a characterization that I've seen a lot. It's just, the main thing about Homelander, he's freaking obnoxious.
Oh,
I grew up around a couple of kids like him, and he's just an annoying man-child with a big mouth, a bad attitude, and laser vision. And every time he throws a tantrum, thousands of people die.
Okay, so in the latest episode, that character She-Line and those young teen punks, whatever, that do all that TikTok stuff, I was thinking about this, and just like you said, what makes this show so frustrating and what maybe adds to the terror is it's sort of like if your worst middle school bully got the powers of a god and could do anything they wanted, and then that's how the world works now. It's like you watch all the cool kids, they could shove you in a locker and then go off and have a party that you're not invited to, but that's like worldwide in the world of The Boys, and it's so frustrating to watch, but it's also like so relatable.
And it helps you keep watching too, because
you want to see them get theirs.
It all goes back to pro wrestling, where you see the bad guy and he's talking his shit and you want to see him get his ass kicked, and that's why you pay money to watch the show.
Excellently put. And I think that's the reason we stick with these stressful societies is you just know at some point there's always that promise that these dickheads are going to get theirs at some point, right? Like that feeling is there.
That's always the most satisfying part to me about a show. But like I said, Homelander just annoys the hell out of me. So I will definitely watch the clip where he gets his ass kicked. But whether I watch the entire show, with your endorsement, it's up in the air. You do you, and I'll do me, and we won't do each other.
We'll all do each other.
Markiplier.
We'll all do each other. You
Hero-gasm.
We won't do each other.
Yeah, we'll have a hero-gasm. You, me, and
You made it weird. You made it weird. I'm out. Goodbye. No way.
I mean, Joseph
it's been weird.
Joseph is our boys expert. He can find him for us.
I've been studying this topic my whole life.
Well, I think we've expressed our hype on Invincible and The Boys, and I figured while we're here, we were thinking of some other societies we'd hate to live in. And you guys gave me some really fun answers. So I wanted to start from as far as from super societies as we can get, because we have a lot to talk about with Batman, I'm sure. But Joseph, you brought to me, of all things, the world of Uzumaki. Of course no one would want to live in the world of Uzumaki. And this has nothing to do with superheroes, but so I edit every episode of this podcast, and I was so jealous that I wasn't able to talk to you about Junji Ito during the comics episode. So we're just going to do that a little bit now. Yeah,
sure.
That would be fucking terrifying to live in the world of Uzumaki. More importantly, Will, have you read your Junji Ito like they should have taught in school?
I have not, but I'm familiar enough with the basic concept around it. I did see one short snippet of Uzumaki, but I didn't know what it was. Something about a girl with a hole opening up in her forehead.
That's a pretty classic.
Yeah, that is Yeah, that is the most famous panel, probably from Junji Ito's entire career. Is
I
that
just stumbled
uh,
across it
don't
randomly, but
do not watch any movie, do not watch any of the TV shows. You need to experience it by reading the comics. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Berserk in that way.
and they have those gorgeous hardcover copies. I think most of us have those. They're pretty easy to get your hands on for how lovely those big hardcover copies of Uzumaki are. But they're one of my most prized possessions on my counter. I also have that with Tomie and Gil, and so I'm a big Junji guy. Of course, you don't want to live in a Junji Ito world. That means essentially hell has seeped into your living dimension. There's not too much to say about why you wouldn't want to be there, but really, you can't express
Well,
to people enough. Read your Junji.
now that I think about it, it's kind of not that bad, right? Because the whole formula, air quote, the guy's such a creative genius. He doesn't really have a formula. But I'm thinking back now, right? The people in Uzumaki, they kind of don't seem to mind that they have all these holes showing
That's
up
a
in
good
their
point. The
head. It's
snail.
only the people around them who are like, "Oh, this is freaky as fuck.
I
I
guess
need to
it's
get out of
Gyo
here."
that I'm thinking of. The snail people in Uzumaki actually seem pretty happy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, Gio is like the most
Oh,
disturbing.
is that how
comic
you
I
say
think
that?
of.
Oh,
That one,
I did it dumb.
I don't know.
You should listen to your parents and read your Junji Ito, kids. It's important.
Absolutely.
And the next, so I've got a list of things here. I'm gonna really breeze past this one, but it made me laugh. I was writing down, we had characters like Homelander, Omni-Man. We're gonna get to the Joker. Spoiler alert for like 5 minutes from now. But I wrote down Roger from American Dad. I don't know why. I find that dude terrifying. Does anyone else feel this way about Roger? You never know if you're going to end up skinned, suffocating in space, or if you're just going to get high and have a good time. It's like a Russian roulette of a being.
He's a master of disguise, and he can sneak up on you at any point, any time.
I like to watch credits and point out ridiculous names and say, well, that has to be a Roger. There's no way that that's not Roger. Fortune Feimster? Come on. Do you think that's a real person? Grow up. It's Roger.
yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I think the concept around Roger is less that he's terrifying and more I look at people across the room and think, are you serious? This man's 4 feet tall, gray, and his head's twice the size of your torso. How can you not tell this isn't right?
My name is Wilbur, Kentucky.
Roy Rogers McFreely.
Yeah, exactly.
People, how does he integrate himself into society? I mean, I think we've been introduced to about 200 or 300 personas that Roger has. Most of them are still alive. And the simple idea that he can keep getting away with it and often be 4 or 5 people in the room at the same time is baffling. But at the same time, it's done for a comedic payoff. And by the same token, all you have to do is look at Roger and say, dude, you're a hack, you're an idiot, and you're ugly. Please go away. And I feel like you can just get like a Brian Griffin-esque response in that he'll just wander off, run away crying, and then you won't see him for another 2 weeks until he tries to put anus-eating scorpions in you.
Oh,
like that one episode.
Man, I'm such a Seth MacFarlane nerd. I know exactly what episode that is. That is the Great Space Roaster with the butt-eating scorpions. Butthole-eating scorpions. Don't come at me. Don't come at me.
I will say I'm looking forward to the Seth MacFarlane adaptation of Dungeon Crawler Carl. That's going to be fun.
I actually just got the audiobook. I'm finishing up another one, and that's next on my list. I keep hearing great things about that one.
You'll love that series.
I'm very stoked for that. Well, we hit some fun, weird little side roads there, but I think it's time we come to the Batman of it all. Now, before we get to the other head on one of the Mount Rushmores of evil evil people, Joseph, you brought to the table Absolute Batman. In our episode about horror and comics, a lot got talked about that series. I don't know much about it at all. You guys never really touched on the basic concept of what that story was. So for the uninitiated like me, can you tell us what Absolute Batman is? What's going on in that story?
Yeah, Absolute Batman is an alternative universe. So it's not a reboot, and nothing that happens in that series is going to affect the original Bruce Wayne Batman mythos, right? It's an alternative universe where Bruce Wayne grows up in Gotham City. He's not a billionaire. He's not even rich. But his father, not his parents, just his father, is killed in a mass shooting. This is what drives him to become Batman, only he doesn't have the money and tech that normal Batman does. So he just blasts steroids and ends up being over 6'9" and like 400 pounds of pure muscle.
Some old
The
school
way
Punisher.
that it starts off Oh yeah, and like it starts off grounded in reality and normal, right? It's the first arc is Batman fighting Black Mask and all of the like the gang members in that, and it's him by himself learning how to be Batman. Alfred shows up. He is an MI6 agent, and at first he's out to kill Batman, but then it becomes them teaming up. And then around the Mr. Freeze arc, you realize that it's going to go in a completely different direction than you've ever expected because it's no longer about Batman just fighting criminals. Every single villain that has been introduced since Mr. Freeze is some sort of Lovecraftian demon monster from hell.
You got my attention.
Yeah, exactly. That's what really got my attention. And is that Mr. Freeze's fault? Does he summon like demons into our world? Not that that's important. I don't want to
He
ruin
doesn't
too much, but I'm so
summon-
curious.
I mean, you're an Ito fan, so you would love it, right? Mr. Freeze in this world, it's his parents that he has cryogenically frozen. He's trying to figure out a lot more of how to heal through like ice powers and stuff. And it's mutated his body to the point where it looks like he's made out of rubber. And you just got to read it in order to like.
I really do. I really need to. I hear great things. I enjoyed my run of, or what I read of the Immortal Hulk. That was kind of my last big stage horror, comic of that thing. But I need to read more, man.
Oh yeah, and like the Absolute series is so great because you can just jump into it. It's still fairly new. It's really easy to get into, and then I mean, just look up Absolute Poison Ivy. We usually think of Poison Ivy as like this really hot seductress. She's the femme fatale. And then, of course, if you were to redesign Poison Ivy from scratch, keep the basic principle of she uses plants to kill people, you would definitely just make her a biblically accurate angel who has like 1,000 eyes growing out of her body as she continues to grow throughout the entire city of Gotham, right?
Right.
Feels like Poison Ivy was always just the core of a collective consciousness, more or less like Swamp Thing was, but the idea that she's the presence in the entire collective of the plant life is really interesting, although the first place my mind goes is what does the core look like? What does she, or the center of her consciousness look like?
Oh, you find out.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, you're getting me a lot more invested in this than I thought, because this whole thing sounds like a really interesting concept. Like, we're talking peak of human fitness and power versus eldritch horrors.
Oh yeah,
I'm interested.
You're welcome, DC. We're 2 episodes now. You get your free shout outs.
Oh yeah,
for the
they
absolute
only sell
runs.
500,000 copies an issue. You know what I mean?
If they could-
but it's definitely us getting the word out.
Guys, send Discount Dracula at least the first trade of Absolute Batman as a thank you. I could really use it.
Yeah, they could use the numbers that we're gonna give them. You know?
Oh yeah. This thing it's bigger than sliced bread, dude. Any other shout outs to the Rogues Gallery before we go on to the GOAT?
So one of the coolest. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to. You got me on
please go
Absolute Batman, and now I have.
We
to
don't
keep
respect
going,
him,
right?
Joseph. You can just trample right over him.
Okay, good. The main Rogues Gallery of Batman's villains, right? So the Penguin, Two-Face, the Riddler, and the Absolute series. Oh, and Catwoman. The Absolute series. They're Bruce Wayne's childhood friends.
Nice.
And you see how Bruce's decisions as Batman end up affecting his childhood friends and getting them horrifically scarred to the point where they turn into those villains. So, like, you just got to read the arc with Absolute Bane.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Even just saying that.
Seen.
I've always loved Bane. I love wrestlers.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
I love that archetype, man.
I'll just spoil it right now. There's this great page where Batman can't land a single blow on Bane. And like his knees are broken, his elbows are broken, and Batman's like, "Well, it's because you're juicing. That's why I can't hurt you." And Bane goes, "Oh no, I haven't even used this stuff yet." And then when he does use that stuff, when he does turn the Venom on, he ends up becoming like this Junji Ito muscle monster
Oh, I love it.
that dwarfs Batman in size. And canonically, this Batman is 6 feet 9 inches tall.
This is kind of giving me some Todd McFarlane vibes just in my mind as you describe that.
Yeah?
One more suggestion, sorry, if you're new to Absolute Batman and don't know if you want to start it, find the Absolute Batman Annual. It is 48 pages of Absolute Batman beating the living fuck out of neo-Nazis.
Yeah. We
I
wholeheartedly...
support beating the living fuck out of neo-Nazis.
Yep. You know what? Actually, before we get to him, on my notes here, I totally missed. Will, you had a fun fact about Invincible you wanted to share.
Yes. I feel like that when they were doing the voice casting for that, and the voice caster was an absolute master of their craft, and I'm not just talking about the perfect fit that is J.K. Simmons voicing Omni-Man or Steven
Iconic.
Yeun voicing Invincible. I also
Both.
want to get into what feels like a multiversal crossover in, well, to those who have seen The Walking Dead, you know the exact scene I'm talking about that takes place between the iconic Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Steven Yeun as Negan and Glenn, respectively.
And one of the
And
Guardians was played by the woman who played Maggie, one of the Guardians who dies in the first episode. Fun fact.
really,
Yes. Yep.
cool. But the stage we get into is when Conquest first appears on screen, and when you
He's
recognize
so good
that
as
voice,
Conquest.
you are preaching at the Pope there. And a quick segue for those who may not know, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is probably best known to the modern era for Negan in The Walking Dead, but also John Winchester in the action horror series Supernatural.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
and when he shows up on screen, if you watch The Walking Dead, then you suddenly feel that moment of no way.
Well, especially with
And
their last interaction together with Stephen Yeun and Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Mark and Onslaught, the last time we've seen them meet. Just incredible work they both do. And also, fun fact, it would also suck to live in the Walking Dead world. Who'da thunk?
yeah,
Yeah, you're fucking
You mean-
telling me.
to live or unlive in the Walking Dead world. But
Do you think it's
back on
peaceful
point-
being a zombie just while we're here, guys? Do you think there's like
I
an
would
inherent
say
peace
it
in it?
beats the alternative of having to constantly fight for survival and try to find food and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's probably nice.
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be
say
that bad.
I'd say the worst part would be if it finally sinks in that your body is slowly disintegrating, and eventually, no matter how much nourishment you take in, it's not affecting your cells, so eventually you're just going to crumble out from under yourself. But until then,
Well, I think
Go
that's
for it.
part of the sweet relief of being a zombie is you kind of lose that self-awareness. So what do you care?
fair point.
Unless you're trapped with that awareness.
You know
in
what?
which
I'm
case,
sold, guys.
Robert
I'm sold.
Kirkman should write a book called Marvel Zombies, which is exactly what that's about.
All right, guys, you have sold me. I will buy a timeshare in the Walking Dead universe. Fine, it sounds great. Will, you had some more thoughts on Invincible?
Yes. Just to get back to the quick thing, I'm just going to summarize. When the fight between Invincible and Conquest ends, it feels extremely satisfying the way it ends, and it has an interesting mirror to how the interaction between Morgan's character Negan and Yoon's character Glenn ends in The Walking Dead. And
I was
it feels
thinking
like
the
just
same
kind
thing.
of an interdimensional revenge kick, and I just found it so cathartic because I can feel like Glenn in the other universe is thinking, that felt good. And as for the other interesting snippet, someone online pointed this out to me. Thetis in Invincible is the leader of the Coalition of Planets and of Viltrumite. He's voiced by Peter Cullen. Now, if you've got a sharp ear, you noticed that that was Optimus Prime in the Transformers movies. Well, Frank Welker also voiced Emperor Argal, and that was Megatron in the Transformers movies.
Oh, that's fun.
So, we got an interdimensional assassination between Optimus Prime and Megatron on planet Viltrum, and I just thought that was a really fun moment.
They couldn't get Orson Welles for this series?
He's going to be a Grand Regent Thrag. I think he'd be great for that role.
Hell yeah.
Which, man, what a metal character. And Joseph, you've read it all, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, won't spoil anything, but Will, you have no idea what's coming with Thrag. It's so metal. It's so metal, and I'm so stoked for you to see it. For all of you to see it.
I'm gonna toss out the thing I'm probably looking forward to most in the animation now is probably the fight between and Thrag.
Oh, you have
because
no
I hear that
idea,
fight-
Will. You have no idea. You gotta stop talking spoilers. It's too good. It's too good.
Well, the other insight I wanted to give to Invincible, I feel like we didn't really touch up on, was we have Nolan, who, the insights we get into his background, he came to the world and he's kind of, I don't want to say awkward, maybe Spartan, just in his daily interactions with everyone. And we got a glimpse of this in the flashback at the end of season 1, where he's just talking, if I have to watch this game, and he says the word like it's dirty on his tongue, and he's just talking like he's a pragmatist. He's Spartan. He believes in getting his job done, but in that moment, he starts to see the shimmer of an appreciation for the little things in life in his child's eyes. And then later on in the series, in season 4, we got some insight into the way things were like for children on Viltrum. And from the second they're born, they're told, you're strong, you're powerful, you're dangerous, and everything is yours because of it.
The contrast between Omni-Man and Homelander, as far as, I think it would be scarier to live in the world of the boys, because like Joseph said earlier, Omni-Man is redeemable, and he was also, lived in a society where you're either the greatest or you're nothing. And Homelander had always been told he's the greatest, but he lives constantly among what he sees as nothing, and he can't get over it, and that's why he is so scary to me.
Yeah, he has the temperament of a child, and he doesn't even know what he wants. He just wants everything. And the problem is, because of his strength and the lack of guidance, like lack of a respectable authority in his life, seems to be what stops him from actually developing into a decent human being. Like, Superman had Pa Kent, who we all know is an absolute gem of a human being. Meanwhile, Homelander had that guy in glasses that ran the world. Well, you know what? Why don't we do this?
What are we doing?
You you come from a world of power that respects strength. You come from a world of weakness, and you have respect for no one. You are not the same.
Hey, Jambi! I'm just doing voices, too.
I feel like the center feature about Invincible, especially when it comes to Omni-Man, is he was raised in a civilization that respects only power, but every time someone tried to bring up the value of individual life, it was quashed, sometimes literally, and then he spends, I think it was summarized best with his words, he's nearly 1,000 years old, but 20, the speck of his life spent on Earth, showed him that there's more to life than domination.
And that's what's beautiful about Omni-Man. I wanted to take us back to our topic of these two characters. If we look at Homelander and Omni-Man, I think that segues us into the last character I want to talk about, which is the Joker. And Joseph, I want to know if you think the Joker could be redeemed. Are there arcs where he is redeemed? I feel like you are a resident Batman expert.
The Joker doesn't want to be redeemed. That's kind of like the whole point of the Joker.
That's an important
distinction. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Exactly. He enjoys being a bad guy, and he likes it. By the way, both of you right now, seeing as how I'm on the absolute Batman kick, just Google absolute Joker. If actually, as a little game, humor me on this, okay?
Doing it now.
If you had to think about what an absolute Joker would look
I wasn't
like,
wrong about Todd McFarlane at all. That's incredible.
That's an actual demon from hell, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing. I got to read this thing, man. I really do. Listeners, we're looking at a demon straight out of Spawn. We're looking at one of the hell spawns for sure.
To those of you listeners, we're not going to spoon feed you on this. You got to go find it yourselves like we had to.
Spoon feed it.
This is basically a scary version of Violator. And Violator is about as scary as Wet Socks, which is annoying but not terrifying. This looks like it could actually be dangerous.
Honestly, I'd rather live in a universe where like full Violator in his hell form was walking around than that gross, like Danny DeVito got radiation sickness. That's his human form. I would much rather hang out with full Violator than that gross, chubby little cigar smoking guy.
Clown he lives up to his name. He's an obnoxious little clown. And you know what? If you don't mind, I'd like to use this as a segue to go straight into one of the other villains I brought up, just to give him a snippet. Jason Wynn, I feel like, would be an extremely terrifying villain to have in the real world, because like I said before, he's a tangible evil. He's got the money, he's got the power, he's got the control, and he's one of those guys that can cast a glance across a room, and you'll be 4,000 miles away in an undisclosed location and lead aspirin.
Yeah.
And that's horrifying. He's an unseen, untouchable evil that you can very much put a bullet through and call it a day, but the bullet can't reach him, either because it won't, or because people in control that are benefiting from his influence don't want it to.
I feel like when we were making this list of societies that would be scary to live in, honestly, I feel like if I just keep doing what I'm doing now, I'm not going to have any problems from anyone in the Spawn universe. I'm not doing anything to engage the wrath of hell, or the mafia. Yet I still got time.
But that's the fear factor of Spawn. Hell is so chaotic that it just tries to sow fear. So if you're someone whose death or maiming would even be noticed, like even if you're just the smiling guy in the small town, if you're just the popular person at work and something horrible happens to you for an inexplicable reason, the thought of the why and the what and the who, of course, will come to mind for long enough that I feel like something horrible happening to you would make enough of an impact to scare people. And all you have to be is seen enough directly. And I feel like hell would target you just to stir up the fear.
Well, that's not comforting.
Welcome to hell.
Well, gentlemen, I think we're going to start to wrap things up here. I wanted to know just some final thoughts. Joseph, we'll start with you. Whether it's on Homelander, Omni-Man, the Batman, the Joker, anything that you want to wrap up on and thinking about what makes a super society so scary.
It's the powerlessness of it all, right? We're reading about these characters who have the power to obliterate our world if they ever feel like it. But we're very lucky that we don't live. Well, I was just going to say.
I was going to say, when you finish your thought, I was going to.
We don't live in a world where one person can just obliterate everything. But now that I think about it.
He wishes he was Homelander.
I do want to point out, though, that it is no coincidence that a guy who looks exactly like Lex Luthor produced 2 shows where Superman is the villain.
What?
Wait, yeah, what are you talking about?
Jeff Bezos runs Amazon. And both of those shows, Prime
right.
and.
If you guys get my severed head shipped to you in an Amazon box, you'll know what it's about.
George, I promise, if I get your severed head shipped to me in an Amazon box, I will find a creative use for it in my home.
Ugh, God, don't.
I won't let it go to waste.
Oh, you mean like that? Oh, okay, great.
I'll probably make it into a lamp where your eyes light up.
Excellent. Will, do you have
What do you think I meant, you sicko?
Oh, sex stuff. Will, did you have...
You ain't my type, homie.
Did you? I don't know. Did you? Let's not rule anything out. Did you have any final thoughts on the horrors of living in a super society or any of these characters we brought up today?
If I had to pick the most terrifying thing about living in a super society, it's a simple fact that knowing if he's out there, what else is out there, because when you think back about revolutionary changes to a civilization, there's always the resistance of, no, this isn't real and it can't be, it's got to be some kind of evil malefactor, and if I destroy it, nothing of its kind will ever exist again. But then, first, we see Omni-Man fall from the sky, then we've got these superheroes fighting these supervillains. The next thing you know, some jerk with vibro gloves pops out of the ground and starts destroying national monuments, and you've just got to think to yourself, okay, great, what's next? But on one hand, I feel like there would be the fear in not knowing what could be possible to occur. And on the other, I feel like if enough of them happened quickly enough, you'd just be thinking, oh great, now we've got some idiot that spits acid and shoves I-beams up his nose and launches them like bullets. What are we going to have to deal with next? And we just keep getting more absurd, more dangerous. And at that point, it'd just be probably sheer frustration of... how do we keep things going forward when these morons with their gimmicks show up just to stir things up and stop the effort?
That's not at all relatable in today's political climate, that sentiment.
I was just going to say, good thing that could never happen in real life.
Exactly. And on that note, let's tell the people where we can find each other. Joseph, go ahead. Let them know what you're about, what you do, and where they can find your work.
You can follow me on everything. I am at #spooky, the word hashtag spelled out. I am most active on Instagram, so follow me on that. I'm going to announce the pre-launch campaign for my next comic book, Green House of Doom. This is the 3rd in our horror anthology series, and so I'm very, very excited for that. Please follow me on Instagram, but if you're going to follow me on anything, it is the pre-launch campaign for Green House of Doom.
Whoop, whoop. I got a signed copy of one of my Houses of Doom. Really appreciate it. Love it on the shelf.
I'll make sure you get the other 2, brother. Don't worry.
All right. If we don't get Absolute Batman, I'll have to read that. I mean, I would love to read that. Have to. Will, you are a streamer, a podcaster, and you fight crime on the weekends to make money to buy Peeps on clearance. Tell people where they can find your work.
Okay, just be clear about the Peeps thing. It's the marshmallow ones, not human lives. I get those. Never mind. I'm Alaskan Ghost on YouTube, and I've been known to stream occasionally, but thanks to the support of my father, who actually just helped me finish building a one badass computer, shout out to him, we may be getting more into it enthusiastically, and you can find me as Alaskan Ghost on YouTube.
Well, excellent. My name is George Brandenburg. I'm Discount Dracula on the TV show The Halloween Horror Hour. This is an extension of that. You're listening to the Halloween Horror Pod, of course. I don't have much of a presence online, but I do make audiobooks outside of this show, and you can find my work on Audible under my name, George Brandenburg. I personally recommend checking out Writhe by Erica Summers and H.N. Wool. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me.
It's been an honor, George. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, have a great one, and we'll see you next time.